So it's almost 3 in the morning. I'm just messing around in here. I was messing around in the drum room doing stuff. I wasn't planning on telling this story right now, but I figured I'm awake. Let me do it. My kids know all my stories, the good and the bad. The reason why I told my kids my stories is because I did not want them to turn out like me in any way at all. Not one way. I was a very bad person, I'll just put it that way. Andrew's actually the one that asked if I could tell this particular story. This was supposed to be the first story I told, and I haven't told it yet, so I'm going to tell it now. I'm not quite sure where I was living at this particular moment in time. I think I was living in Glendale with Yvette. I'm not sure. I was hanging out with Richie. Of course, we grew up together. And, I need a job to pay rent. And he knew that. We went to this place. It was at the corner of Clybourne and Sherman Way. Now, I'm not sure if that's still Burbank or if that's North Hollywood. It's on the border. The airport is across the street. There was also a place on the other side of Sherman Way right there. It's like Clybourne dead ends and it goes to Sherman Way. There was like a movie lot there that stored all the vehicles. That was pretty cool to see that across the street. All the movie cars were over there. All the cop cars and the taxis and all kinds of stuff was over there. It was really cool that it was over there. But the airport was across Clybourne from this corner. This place was on the corner. So we go to see his buddy to hang out for a little while, and we get to talking. Now, I was 15 years old at this time. Richie's older than me, and we went to go see this guy named Rich. I would love to get in touch with him just to say hello and see how he's doing. If you know my past, and you know I was a bad person doing bad things, this guy was worse than me. So I'd like to see where he's at, see if he's still alive. Most people didn't think I would live to see 30 years old because of my past. So we're hanging out there, and this place was called Kids Furniture. They had 2 places. One was in La Crescenta, and this was the new one in Burbank. And it was at this corner. And it was a little house-looking thing. And it had like a little showroom in the house. The house, you would walk through like this house. It was the showroom, and the house had like rooms. I think it might have been like an old house that they turned into a business. You would walk in there, and they would have like mirrors on the walls, and dressers in the rooms, and car beds, and bunk beds. It was furniture made for kids. So you know how in IKEA, you walk through all the different rooms and you pick your stuff to buy, mix and match. That's how this was, except it was like a little house. Now, when we were going to see Rich, they were building a warehouse kind of connected to it. Like you could walk through the house and into this big block wall warehouse. It only had 3 walls at this time. We were sitting on the top of the walls, hanging out and having big gulps and stuff. So we get to talking to him, and Richie was telling Rich that I need work because I need to pay rent. And he knew my real age. I wasn't even old enough to work. But he didn't care because he knew my work history. I've already been working, since I was 10, and I show up on time, and I'm a good worker. And I learn very quick no matter what it is. That's why I've had a gazillion jobs. I can pick stuff up fast, and I always try and be the best at what I do wherever I'm at. So I don't know who these people were that owned it. It was a husband and a wife. They were older, and I don't know if they were Turkish or whatever. They were some type of Middle East people. They were very nice people. So Rich hires me, because he's the manager, to work at this place and put the furniture together and work in the warehouse and everything. Once the warehouse was finished, I put it together. We put up the shelving, like the big industrial shelving, organized all the stuff by like part numbers and all kind. It was nice. We set this place up nice. We rearranged the entire showroom. I'm putting bunk beds together. I'm putting car beds together, dressers, the whole deal. I'm doing a lot of stuff. The owners wanted to start doing deliveries and deliver this furniture to people. So a lot of times where if somebody ordered a bunk bed, we would assemble most of it and then carry it into the house and then finish the assembly, dressers, would put some of that together, carry them in. We would actually hang mirrors on their walls. We would actually set up, like in these rich people's houses, full bedrooms for these kids. It was a lot of work because we were doing this in the middle of the night. But I got a little ahead of myself. We needed to go get a truck. Now keep in mind I'm 15, I have no driver's license, but I did have a driver's permit at this particular moment in time. So the owners have this truck at their house. And I'm going with Rich to talk to the owners. They haven't met me yet. He hired me. They're paying me, but he's the one that hired me. So we go there to get this truck. And this dude is a shyster. He is a salesman. He's very, very good at what he did. He was a shyster. So he told me, don't say anything. Do not say a word. Now, he knows my real age and my life and my background. So we're sitting with the owners and we're talking about the truck, and I'm going to be the main driver of the truck. That's hilarious. And so we're sitting there and they were asking questions. He was actually answering for me, which I'm surprised they didn't pick up on that. They look straight at me and they say, how's your driving record? Usually people want a DMV report printout so that they can see your driving record. They looked straight at me and they were like, how's your driving record? And he looked straight at him and he goes, it's spotless. And they trusted him because he's the manager. Now, this is really hard not to laugh at. I have no driving record. I don't have a driver's license. So when they looked and they were like, how's your driving record? And he goes, spotless. It's so hard not to laugh, but he technically wasn't lying. It was so funny. What a shyster. So we get this truck. We go back to the warehouse. We're doing all these deliveries in the middle of the night because we're working there in the daytime. We're putting the stuff together. Customers are walking through. We're talking to customers, coming up with a plan of what could fit in their house and all kinds of stuff. And then when we close, we're leaving and we're driving all over, going to all these rich people houses, and we're putting bunk beds in there and everything. It was actually pretty cool, going to all these rich people houses and stuff, and they would give us cash tips. They just paid a fortune for furniture, a whole room full of furniture. And then we would leave and they would give us, like $100 each to split. And we're not in their house all night. We're there an hour or two at the most, maybe. We were making so much money. I was making a fortune. It was crazy the amount of money I was making doing this. Many of you know I used to have a motorcycle. Now, I didn't have it yet. I was actually driving this truck. And I was going to Glendale, and I was on Glen Oaks, and I'm not sure where I was. It was somewhere between, I don't know, Concord and Burbank, somewhere like that. So I'm on Glen Oaks, and I'm driving this truck, and I passed this motorcycle. It's parked against the curb, and I'm like, had for sale sign on it. I had money, so I pull the truck over, and I walk back, and there's it's not really a strip mall. It's just a few businesses at the side of the road. So I'm looking at all the businesses and I'm like, okay, whoever owns this is in here, whether they're a customer or somebody in, working. I got to find out who owns this thing. It just said for sale on it. There was no number, nothing. So I'm looking, and where it was sitting in front of was a bank. So I walk into this bank and I was like, I just talked to the teller. I'm like, oh, excuse me, who owns the motorcycle outside? I'd like to talk to them. And they said, we do. And I said, what do you mean you do? They said, us, the bank, we own that motorcycle. It's a repossession. And I was like, wow, this thing was brand new. And I was like, well, how much would you guys like for this motorcycle? I think it was $200 or $400 or something like that. Thing was brand new. They only wanted me to pay what the person still left had owed on it. That's it. That was it. I'm like, okay, here you go. Cash. Bam. That's how much I had money. This is somewhere, 1985, and I'm 15. I had so much money. It was crazy. was almost like dealing drugs, but I wasn't. I had a legitimate job making a ton of money. So I buy this motorcycle, and I had to figure out how to get it home, but that was a different story. So I buy this motorcycle, and I'll show a picture that I found online of what it really looked like when it was new. It was a Yamaha XT200. It was brand new. It had like no miles on it. I was just amazed. I loved this motorcycle. It was so fun to ride all over town. And then sometimes we'd go up Angeles Crest and then go up and just take a trail somewhere. You can go jumping or whatever. It's not really a dirt bike. It's like an enduro or dual purpose. The thing was so fun. It was so fun. I mentioned that Rich was worse than me. He was a drinker. And there was a liquor store down the street from Kids Furniture. We would go in there so much. I would go in there and buy his vodka for him, like a fifth every morning. He was that bad. He would wake up and start drinking. So I would also drive his car for him. When we were done, in the middle of the night, I would take him and his car and drive him home. Now at this time, he had a brand new set of twins. I don't remember if they were girls. I think they were girls. And his wife used to get mad at me when I would drop him off, because it was like I'm allowing him, like I'm helping him in a way to be bad because I'm the one driving his car. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm 15. I'm just doing what this guy's telling me to do. I don't want him to drive, She would constantly be yelling at him. And obviously she's in the right. They just had these twin babies. It's probably hard on her where he's just out drinking all night, and I'm just kind of driving his car, and we're driving all over, LA doing stuff after we do this furniture. We went golfing at like 3 or 4 in the morning, with a couple buddies of his, and they were all drinking and stuff. I'm not drinking. I'm just kind of there, driving the car. So it's a little weird. Now, before I say this, statute of limitations has to be up on this, and none of these people are ever going to see this anyway. All these people are probably dead. The owners are probably dead because they were already older. That business doesn't even exist anymore. Well, he starts selling the furniture for Coke. He's like trading the stuff for Coke, and he's drinking. It was so bad. So that's why I say he was kind of worse off than me. But I hope the dude's still alive. I hope he's okay. I hope he's cleaned up. I was doing a lot of bad stuff at this time too. There's a couple little more stories from that place. We were delivering furniture to this one people's house. We're setting up the whole room, and we have the bunk beds put together, and they have the slats where like the mattress sits on, but we haven't attached them yet. They're just laying on there. And we told the people, keep your kids out of here while we're in here because, we got stuff going on. We're drilling things. We're doing a lot of stuff, putting mirrors on the walls, we're drilling holes. We're putting together furniture. There's boxes around them. We got a lot going on. Keep your kids out of the room. One kid comes in the room. He sees the bunk bed. It's just got the slats laying on there and the ladder leaning on it. He climbs the ladder and gets on the top and falls through both beds because nothing was connected. And he just goes, pow! And I'm like, lady, I told you to keep your kid out of the room. And she yells at her kid for doing that. I was angry because I thought maybe he broke something, and then what? Now I can't put their stuff together. At that time, I didn't even care that the kid was hurt. I was just like, get out of here. Another story from that same place is I was sleeping in that place every once in a while in the little house part. And I can't remember why. Because I can't remember, did I have the place in Glendale at this time or not? It's really around all that same time. There was a lot going on at this time in my life. I'm sleeping in there, and I hear a plane landing at the Burbank Airport. Now, this is in the middle of the night. Usually they had a sound ordinance. I think it was like 10 p.m. or something. There's no planes in or out of Burbank. It's a residential area that comes around it. So I'm like, there's a plane landing over there. So I hear this plane land at the airport. Now, this plane landed and went straight to the hangar. It didn't go to the end of the runway and come back. Now, if you know anything about Burbank Airport, if you've landed over there, pretty much the biggest airplane they can handle is a 737, which is usually like a Southwest over there. And I always tell everybody, when you're landing at Burbank, hold on tight. As soon as they hit the ground, they're hard on the brakes and hit the reverse thrust. It's very hard on the brakes because they're going to go all the way to the end of the runway. This plane landed and didn't do that. It landed and went straight to the hangar. And I'm watching out the window and I can't see it because the fence has like these protective things on there for security, so you can't see. And it's like a 8-foot high fence, and I'm right across the street, so I can't see above it, but I can see the tops of the hangars and some of the doors. And I'm like, man, there's a plane over there, but there's no lights. And I see these hangar doors open, and it stayed open for a little bit, and then the hangar doors closed, and I can hear this airplane over there, and that was it. When it went to take off, it also didn't go back to the end of the runway and take off. It simply left the hangar, went to the runway, and left. And I was amazed because I saw it. It had no lights on it. It was completely dark. And I was like, the size of this airplane was massive. It was a military plane. And I have no idea what it is. Now I do. Now that we're in the future, I know what that plane was and what it was doing. That was a Lockheed C-5 Galaxy. Now, if you've ever seen one in person, you probably think, that's impossible. That's impossible what I'm saying. It's not. That's the way they made this plane. And at this time, Lockheed was still the whole thing of Burbank. Burbank was Lockheed. What it was doing was coming in and picking up from that hangar stealth parts, because this is when they were building the stealth. Now, I don't know which one, if it was the fighter or the bomber, but either one, they're both Lockheed planes. So that's what it was doing. We know that now. I didn't know that then. It was like top secret. I don't know if it went back to Palmdale or wherever it went, but that's what it was doing. It was picking up airplane parts, and I was amazed that how quick that plane got in the air. That was amazing. There's another story where Rich decided, when the people come shopping, there's nothing for the kids to do. It's just a furniture store. He wanted like a playground outside, which is a great idea. Keep the kids happy and playing outside, sandbox, swings and a slide. He's pretty smart. He's a good salesman right there, I'm telling you. That way the kids would be like, yeah, this is great, Mommy. I want a bed. I want a car bed. Instead of buying the sand, which is probably cheap, he's trying to save money for whatever reason. We take this old pickup truck, big, huge, like Ford whatever, long bed at that time, and we put some shovels in the back. We drive to Zuma Beach, and we drive onto the beach. Now, you're not allowed to do this in California. Here you can take Jeeps on the beach and four-wheelers and stuff. You cannot do that in California. Even back then, you weren't allowed to do that. You park in the parking lot, and California beaches are different than East Coast beaches. California beaches are sand, like really far out to the water. There's lots of sand. Here is like the water's like right there by the dunes, or you have like shells right there, which is nice, but the water's like really close. It's not like far out there. California beaches, the water's way out there. We take the pickup truck. I'm driving, don't forget. And we drive onto the beach. And we get out and we're scraping. It was like whiter sand on top. Instead of just the dirt, we're scraping the top of the sand and chucking it in the truck. And then we'd move the truck and keep doing that and keep moving the truck. And we like scraped the whole like top of the beach and had it all on the back of the truck. And it was piled up. We don't have no cover on it or nothing. I'm like, this stuff's going to blow away. And we're like sagging. We're trying to drive back, and we do make it back, but the whole way, like the back end's like swaying around. I'm trying to keep the thing on the road. Keep in mind, I'm the one that's driving. He's drinking. I'm 15, and I'm just like, the thing was so heavy from all the dirt. But we finally get back there and made a sandbox out of it, and it was actually really nice. But I just remembered that story and how stupid that is to do something like that, but it was kind of funny. So after some time of working there, I had this motorcycle. I went and worked at the La Crescenta store once in a while. These people loved me. The owners loved the work that I did, because I put together the whole warehouse, organized everything in numerical order. They were amazed by that. So I go up to the La Crescenta store. I'm doing the showroom, and I'm rearranging the showroom, trying to make it nice, putting together some furniture. And then I go into the warehouse, and I was just like, it's just a mess. I don't know who's been working up here. It's just a mess. Like, looks like a hoarder's garage, just stuff everywhere. You can't find anything. So they were like, we want you to come up here and reorganize this entire thing how you did the other one. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, okay, it had a roll-up door, and the parking lot was right outside. So I roll up the door and I turn around, I look at this mess, and I look out in the parking lot. My motorcycle is right there with my helmet hanging off of it. And I look back, I look that way, I said, I'm never coming back here. And I simply just hopped on my motorcycle and left. That was it. I just disappeared. Now, Rich called me the next day and said, hey, you can still have your job. They didn't fire you. Because I'm a teenager, he told them, oh yeah, he's got like some home life problems and stuff. He was probably just distraught, and he decided to leave for whatever reason. They were like, oh, we don't mind. We want him to come back. I thought that was funny. I just left. Bye. Left the door open and everything. But I just looked at that mess. I just didn't want to do it. Now, looking back, I probably could have done it. I would have done it now. It'd been no problem. Just empty everything and start over. But at that time, I was just like, whatever. I don't want to be doing this. I never went back, and he tried to save my job. I was like, whatever. I don't want to do that no more. So that's basically my kids' furniture story. Andrew, I'm sorry it took me so long to tell it, but there it is for you. And I know a lot of my stories, some people say they're hard to believe, but they're there. I don't have any pictures of this place. Maybe I could find some on archive somewhere. I don't even have a picture of my motorcycle. I'm going to find one on the internet. I don't have pictures of anything. We didn't just carry cameras everywhere, and I'm sorry for all the stuff I've done in my past that went with this story, and I hope everyone's still around and doing good. And I hope everyone enjoyed this weird little story. So, see you on the next story.